Hey everyone, I have here the 2021 LEGO City Fire Command Unit set. It's mostly about this big truck, but you also get a remote-controlled firefighting apparatus, a little piece of a very suspicious power station, and 4 minifigs. The truck and trailer rig is bigger than I expected it to be. It's a 6-stud wide build for the cab there, but then you go past that very, very quickly with the width of the tires, which are fairly large, larger than normal. I'm going to go ahead and put these little outriggers down here so you can see this just by itself. I mean, yeah, this is pretty beefy stuff, but for all that size, for all that amount of stuff here, for all that volume of pure Lego, there's not a whole lot that actually gets done with this. It has the tall doors, which is nice to see, but ultimately inside there's not even a seat. It's just a steering wheel, and you put a person down on the ground, and they steer it from the center, a centered position in there. Got some stickers on this. I very much like the production of these squared off fenders in the light or cool yellow color. Looking forward to using those pieces and some things, but ultimately, you know, this is just a tractor trailer rig. Got a couple gaps in the back. It's a little bit awkward. These are a couple spots where you can put some minifig accessories, which is always a good thing. And with the trailer, I want to point out a very interesting new piece that is both large and much smaller than it initially appears. This looks like a part of a traditional, maybe just a slightly updated version of a traditional Lego train car base. That would be the full width of a train car, and then you just put one truck here, you know, a pair of axles, and then another pair at the other end. But where's the other end? It's not there. This piece starts here, ends right there. It's like a half of that old part, and yet modified a bit in the center. So if you're interested in custom building and stuff, definitely look up the parts inventory for this set and check out that piece and check out the differences of it. Overall, looking at features for this, you got a flatbed area here with a ramp. And that ramp is where we're going to put or temporarily store and transport the remote-controlled firefighting apparatus that I briefly showed earlier. I'll show you that again in detail. This opens up, of course. You have storage in there, of course. This does not work as well as these things usually do. Normally, the way these are set up, you can just slide the thing out from inside, but here it can get stuck easily. So that was not the best design work there, in my opinion. Yeah, that's actually a little bit frustrating. Maybe I'm just spoiled, but usually with these things, you can just slide this out. So that has a couple of accessories in there. I do appreciate very much the fact that they're actually attached to the base, so they're not going to get lost. You know, the little pieces aren't going to get lost, but that could have been done a little bit better. The biggest thing, or the most important thing here, is the hydraulic aerial setup, and that in spite of having a low-profile appearance on the outside, it actually uses the ratcheted joints, the ratcheted turntable inside. So that's very good. So it doesn't just slide all around. So that's good. And then this can come up and up. Let me zoom out. Yeah, it actually goes up pretty far. And I'm only making sure that the bucket remains horizontal, right? So a person who would be standing in there, I almost said sitting, but standing in there, like this random minifigure here, you know, is going to be actually vertical as intended. So that's how high it gets, which is pretty good. What's missing here is the ability to actually extend out. So you can't go that far away from the base, from the trailer. Like I want that to be able to go farther. In order to make it go farther, you need to change some pieces around. And then once you change some pieces around, then you're not able to get it to fold back down like this. So it's kind of an either or. Maybe that could have been a little bit better, but at least it is easy to play with. It is easy to set this up. It's easy to put it back with all the ratcheted joints. I think that was overall a good choice rather than having it be able to just kind of go all over the place. These just fold up, and when they're folded up, they're not really out of the way. They actually add to the width of the trailer quite significantly, which is not the best idea, especially since even as it is right now, this vehicle will not fit on the new road plates. It just won't. I mean, it'll take up both lanes basically, but you know, it's 6 wide plus a whole lot. So that is not exactly compatible. Here's the remote controlled thing. This is based off designs for real life things, you know, real life unmanned firefighting vehicles. It just has tires and then it has a turret. And the turret doesn't really turn around. It just goes straight up and down. I wish it had a turret though, so that you could drive it out and then it could spin around and, you know, aim just right at the fire that you want to take out. Also would be nice if it could aim a little bit more down, I think. This is one of the redesigned Technic competition shooter style of assemblies there, you know, pre-made assembly inside. But instead of using Technic pieces for connections, it uses just regular studs. Yeah, push this on the back. This is the bolt. It is one piece, solid, hard plastic, but in testing, I found that it was safe for eyes for kids that would accidentally shoot each other in the eye. It's not going to cause any serious damage. So that's that. Wow. Yeah. Goes pretty far, pretty fast, and with quite a bit of power, but that's all that does. And the ramp back here comes down, does come all the way down to the ground. It's very steep, but it does work. The breakover angle on this is not too bad, or at least the overhang is not too bad. The breakover angle is okay. Yeah, it's not too bad. So yeah, you can ride that up there. Kids won't have a problem with that. This is a bit of a power station, and I said it looks suspicious because it appears that they are using radioactive sludge inside of there in some sort of warp core Star Trek thing. I don't know exactly what they're doing here, but that's what the power comes from. These are new prints for 2021. I kind of like those. And this is what fire looks like in 2021 for Lego. Some people will like these, some people will not. I like them for what they're intended to do and what they're intended to be. It's not just fire, it's fire that you can knock over. So, we had that projectile that can hit things. Well, now the fire is out. Now the fire is back. This is good for resetting play, in my opinion. You want to try to hit that, arc your shot right, knock it off. Okay, fire is done. These are stackable for folks who haven't seen them previously. They're stackable like so. You can rotate around, do like this, put them underneath. You can also stack them directly on top of each other to make a taller flame. Set comes with 3 of those pieces. I don't like the look of them, but I like how they play. I think that ultimately they're a pretty good thing. And there's one additional feature built into this little weird build here. You can push on the red thing and it'll knock the power core out. So I guess that's one thing you might want to do to shut the whole thing down. Now, I have been asked to connect this to the other one of these. The fire rescue helicopter set came with something like this, and that is here. These were intended to be connected. You've got Technic pins, you've got Technic pin holes, and there it is. So if I zoom this out just a little bit so you can see the rest of it, there you go. There's how those two go together. I think this starts to look pretty cool, actually. Again, you've got more of that radioactive material that seems to be flowing through here very suspiciously, a little bit too close to where operators would actually be able to access it. But, this one was set up to work exactly the same. So, you just put fire pieces all over, everything's on fire, and then ultimately you try to put all those fires out. And this one has that additional function of knocking the core out. Looking at figures, here's a pair of the newest ones with the new style of fire helmet, which, as I've learned, is something that exists in some regions of the world and not in others. Folks who are familiar with that appearance, that style, will love this. Folks who prefer the other style will hope that they go back to the other style. Well, I personally like the diversity. I know that they will continue to experiment and try different things, and I just appreciate them trying something different here, even though they've done the exact same style that I'm personally most familiar with living in America. Basically since the beginning, right? Since the 1970s. One of these has an alternate face, and that's it. Also, that figure on the right is holding the remote control for the remote-controlled firefighting apparatus. Oh, snap! Look at that on the left. It's the old style of gear. So they actually included both in one single set. I like the use of the dark tan for his outfit as well. That has some realism for some regions. And I also like the character on the right. She's supposed to be an engineer working at the power station, I believe. That's not a new print or anything, but it's a good one. And yeah, I like the setup for both of these. There's one appropriate alternate face. It's printed just a little bit offset, but no big deal. Got your alternate print back here, or your back print on this one. And this is actually a named character from the Lego City Adventures TV series. That is Bob. And speaking of named characters, this one over here is Feldman. I don't remember the full name, but both from the TV show. And if you don't like generic figures having specific names, then just forget it and give them your own names, These are the leftover pieces, and I must say that with these sets, I wish they would include one extra bolt for the water shooter. This is what the sticker sheet looked like. Not really too many stickers for this set, even though some of those can easily be left off and you won't really be missing much. For this set, I paid, survey says, $60, 60 US, which gives it not a particularly good price to part ratio. Doesn't look good on paper there. However, I will say, and don't jump to conclusions too quickly as I speak here, I will say that, in my opinion, the price to volume of stuff ratio is not bad. Because this is pretty beefy. It's much larger than it needs to be. We'll get back to that momentarily. But this is a good amount of plastic. And it feels kind of solid. Like there's some weight here, there's some actual mass, there's size. $60 doesn't feel that bad to me for this amount of stuff. But then let's get in and actually consider the value, the play value, the value of this as an entire product. It's a little bit lacking, in my opinion. I feel like this could have been scaled down easily to be a $50 set with identical play value. Maybe even 40. That would have been pushing it a little bit, especially with 4 figures with nice stuff. Some of the specialized pieces, just assuming everything is scaled down a little bit. I think 40 might be pushing it, especially these days. 45 is where I would like this to be in terms of how much stuff you can do with this. Because again, this is a cool truck and all, but it just holds one person and then pulls this along. It doesn't need to be this big. It could have been a good 25% smaller and functionally identical and still looked cool. This here, okay, you get the hydraulic platform, the hydraulic aerial platform. That's nice. And I'm glad that the designer used all ratcheting joints for that. That was good thinking. The little storage compartment there doesn't work as well as it should. This doesn't do as much as it should. Even if you can get past that huge projectile sticking out in front at all times and not having a spare one of those, the fact that it only goes up and down, it's a little bit weak. That joint there is a little bit weaker than I would like it to be. And the fact that it won't rotate around just takes some fun out of this. And it looks very plain. It's kind of appropriate, but yeah, I think that could have been a little bit more exciting. The ramp comes down, that works just fine. But ultimately you get this huge trailer that holds this, and this could have been much smaller. This could have been 4 studs wide. It's 6 right now. It could have been 4 using a spring-loaded shooter. Maybe the spring-loaded shooters actually aren't allowed in sets that are for the youngest kids for safety reasons. That may be something that I personally wouldn't normally consider, but still, I feel like it could be smaller. And this just holds one small thing right in there, and this just holds a platform. It all could have been scaled down. You could have gotten this much value for less money, my personal opinion. For what's actually here, $60 is not terrible, but it could have been smaller and cheaper. I think that's about all I have to say about it. I do not have a proper normal set of build videos for this one because I built this stuff live on this channel. So you can go back and look at the live build. It's a little bit hectic. There's a lot of chat. There were hundreds of people watching and chatting simultaneously. But yeah, that's up. But I will continue to do my normal build videos, pure build and speed build for most things for this channel, and continue to bring you, of course, more reviews right here. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this, or at least got some value out of the video itself, and I'll talk to you again soon.